Hi, this is Jose Arias. This is my podcast. I'm calling it Raistlin's Eye. Why is it called Raistlin's Eye? Because Raistlin is the coolest character in all of science fiction and fantasy. And I think you guys will enjoy this very much. I was a kid when I first got into science fiction. I was walking through the library and I found a book called Dragonlance Chronicles. And if you know anything about Dragonlance Chronicles, you know that the three books, Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, and Dragons of Spring Dawning, are three of the greatest books, I think, ever written. They don't get enough praise and they don't get enough critical acclaim as they should. I think that they were really well written, well done, thought out books. And by far, the coolest character in all the trilogy was, in my mind, Raistlin Majere, the Red Mage. The Red Mage was, to me, he spoke to me. Why did he speak to me? Because he was intelligent, he was strong, he was arrogant, he was sarcastic, and even though he was weak physically, mentally, and intellectually, he was more intelligent than anybody that was around him, and he could defeat them easily. And I don't think Raistlin gets enough credit out there for the cool character that he is. In fact, doing a little research, I found out that Margaret Weiss, one of the writers of the Dragonlance Chronicles, says that Raistlin is her favorite character. She says that when he spoke, his sarcasm and his bitterness, all mask and arrogance and the power that never needed to be stated, suddenly were real. Everyone was transfixed and terrified by his presence, and she said she understood him the best. One of the cool things about Raistlin was that he wasn't a follower. He led by his own path. He went his own way, and at one point in Dragons of the Winter Night, one of the characters, Lorana, asked Raistlin why he follows Tanis Half-Elven, the leader of the troop, and he goes, "I'm not following Tanis. We're just going in the same direction at this point." And I thought that was cool because he wasn't following anybody. He was his own leader. Tanis was a forceful leader, but Raistlin wasn't following him. Raistlin was going on the same path as he was, but eventually they were going to split, and he was going to go his own way, and there was nothing going to stop him. Now, some people might not like Raistlin because eventually he dons the black robes and turns evil, but he does so many great things throughout the series that you can't really call him an anti-villain or anti-hero. He's just someone who was put upon by society and sought to better himself. Eventually led him to the wrong path, and he donned the evil robes, but he went from being one of the weakest characters just by looking at him to one of the strongest characters that ever lived in fiction. And I don't think he gets enough credit. One of the things that struck me about Raistlin was that he had a soft spot for others. People were treated poorly or because of their weaknesses. He, through no fault of their own, he identified with them. He helped them, such as the Gully Dwarves, and he felt genuine regret that he couldn't help everybody. Sometimes, one of the things I relate to him is that now that I'm at an age where I'm older and I have some success, I can relate to Raistlin when he feels like he wishes he could go back to his childhood when things were much simpler, and he could laugh and love and not worry about just life. And life is hard, but you gotta struggle to survive every day and go through every day and fight every day to get through it. And that's what's cool about Raistlin. Like I said, this podcast will be called Raistlin's Eye, but it's not gonna be totally and specifically just about Raistlin and the Dragonlance Chronicles. I will talk about other topics as well, some topics that I currently mostly enjoy, science fiction stuff that I really like, any books that I read, reviews. And if you like my podcast and you comment on the page below, give me some ideas, stuff that you want me to talk about, stuff that you think that has been overlooked by society, that doesn't get enough credit, and that maybe you think I understand it. I can talk about it, because that's what this podcast is about. It's about a community and talking about stuff and relating to things that others might not relate with, and getting them to understand that kind of stuff. Once again, back to Raistlin. One of the things I found that was so cool about him was his gold skin. He got gold skin during the trials, the magic trials, when he was tried to become a magician, and he made a deal with Fistandilus, the evil wizard, to gain some of his power in exchange for his life. But when Raistlin was infused with the gold skin, he found out that the gold skin was a magic barrier which allowed him to protect himself from Fistandilus, and thus he was able to renege on the deal and giving up his life towards Fistandilus, which was really cool, because that just shows how intelligent and how 2 steps ahead Raistlin is of everybody else. He's always thinking ahead, like a chess player, and he's always thinking, how can I do this better than someone else? How can I get ahead? And how can I achieve my goals to the best of my abilities? And that's what we should do in life. We have to do the best that we can to get to the top. And I'm not saying get to the top through evil means, but if you're down and out, and you're feeling bad about yourself, there's nothing you can't do through hard work and effort. And Raistlin's just proof of that. He was called the Sly One for a reason. He was always picked on as a kid, which I thought was interesting. And I also found what's very, very interesting was that Raistlin and Caramon, his brother, were two polar opposites. Raistlin was the aloof, sarcastic, unpopular one with people, while Caramon was very easygoing and gregarious and strong physically, a barbarian who used a sword. He was just a powerhouse, and Raistlin was jealous of him. And there's some thought that twins are actually 2 halves of one person. So I think Raistlin was envious of Caramon because he was weak physically, and he felt that his strength went to Caramon, and he wasn't a full man because half of him was given to his twin brother. That's one of the reasons he's so envious of his brother, and one of the reasons that he's openly contemptuous of his brother, and needs his help, needs his strength, and uses him throughout the series, but wishes that he could do his thing on his own, which is really cool. I found Raistlin to be just a monumental character in my life. I mean, I've read the stories several times. I read the Legends series, the trilogy, Legends trilogy, and it was determined that Raistlin's ambition stretched farther than just being one of the greatest wizards of all time. He wanted to be a god. So that's when he kind of went astray. I think that part of it might have been the fact that Fistandilus had laid some claim to Raistlin's soul and body, and was taking control. And maybe that this thought was infused in his brain when he fused with Fistandilus. But I think that's where he lost track of his goals. And it's good to achieve to the best of your abilities, but to trample over others and to do what Raistlin did. Eventually, he redeems himself, but his ultimate goal was to be a god, and it was to go into to the abyss and defeat Takhisis, the evil queen of darkness, and take his place among the gods. And I always thought that was just a sad way for Raistlin to end up. One of the things I'll leave you with is a quote from one of the books, which left me with a deep impression about how powerful Raistlin was. And that quote is from The Time of the Twins, the historian Astinus, where he describes Raistlin's entry into the tower of high sorcery in Palanthas, which was at that point cursed, and no one could go in because it was waiting for the future of the past and the present which turned out to be Raistlin when he achieved his full powers when he donned the black robes. And a quote goes like this: it's from the book. 2 years ago, he entered the Tower of High Sorcery. He entered it in the dead of night, in darkness. The only moon in the sky was the moon that sheds no light. He walked through the Shoiken Grove, a stand of cursed oak trees that no mortal, not even those of the Kender race, dare approach. He made his way to the gates upon which hung still the body of the evil mage, who with his dying breath cast a curse upon the tower, and leapt from his upper windows, impaling himself upon his gates, a fearsome watchman. But when he came there, the watchman bowed before him. The gates opened at his touch, then they shut behind him, and they have not been opened again these past 2 years. He has not left, and if any had been admitted, none have seen them. End quote. That just shows the power of Raistlin, the strength of Raistlin. He went from a weak character to the master of the past and the present. He went to the Tower of High Sorcery in Palantis, which was cursed, which no one would go into, not even the Kender race. The Kender race, which is, as you know, fears nothing to their detriment. They fear nothing, but even the Kender race dared not go into this secret grove and go into the secret tower because they feared that power. Raistlin went there and he took control of it, and they bowed before him. And for anybody who's been picked on and tread upon and just looked down upon, that's really tremendous and awesome. That's how you can relate to him. That's just an example of how great he is. And that's basically what my podcast is going to be about. I hope you like it. I'm going to talk about anime, which is one of my favorite stuff. Some animes that I find that are overlooked, that people just don't rate on their top 10 lists, and which I find incredibly compelling and have influenced my life. Cowboy Bebop for one. Wolf's Rain. I'm an old school guy, but I like the older stuff, and I dig it, and I dig science fiction. And I've read The Hobbit, I've read Dragonlance trilogies, I've read Chronicles of Time, and I'll have reviews about each of those things and what I think about them. But every once in a while, I'll come back to Raistlin, and I'll come back to the power of self-improvement and how you can better yourself through hard work and effort, and achieve your greatest goals and your greatest life's achievements just through hard work. That's all it takes. And I hope you go on this journey with me. I'll see you soon. Thank you.